Jaded Moon, how you doing? Thanks for being on the show.
I'm doing radical. Thank you for having me.
So, real quick, are you based in Las Vegas now? Or are you in the Midwest?
So I move around a lot. I was always a traveling tattooer. I was never really based actually anywhere. My house always was in Vegas. That's where I was born and raised, and I've always been traveling. So temporarily, I've moved to Madison, Wisconsin, but I'm actually
cool.
just relocating back to Vegas. So pretty soon here.
Just temporary
Yeah.
thing. So you're known, and I don't know if this is a title that you prefer or enjoy, but one of the world's premier penis tattoo artists. Like if you
True.
search
Men's
your
Health
name,
magazine.
I've seen that. It's like premier penis tattoo artist, which I think it's a great distinction.
I love that title, honestly. When I did that interview for Men's Health magazine, I thought to myself, this is a great title. Like, I wouldn't have come up with it myself. I'm stoked, that they came up with that. To be honest, yeah. So I get people from all over the world who come and get tattooed by me.
To get their dicks tattooed.
Yeah, they literally, like, I have people who fly from South Africa, from Sweden, like all over the globe, and they want to get their dicks, their buttholes, almost any odd body part. I'm
like the less
extremely
common areas.
comfortable. I'm extremely confident. I'm going to give you a really good, solid tattoo, and I'm super passionate about it. I love tattooing these body parts. There's no qualms with me. Like, I try to make it a good, sitting, and it's not weird.
Like a positive experience.
Yeah.
So is that a rare thing?
Fun.
Like in the industry, is it rare to find a tattoo artist willing to tattoo someone's genitals?
It is, honestly. So I wanted my butthole tattooed, and okay, so for one, I travel all over the world, and when I go and I do guest spots at shops, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be tattooing some buttholes. Is that a problem? Sometimes shops are like, that's like too much, and I'm like, whoa, okay. And then also the artists are always blown away by it. They're like, this is what you do. Like, this is what you do for tattoo. This is what you do for a living. I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I gotta say it's a bit unusual.
To me, I don't see anything unusual about it. I don't see anything weird about it. So I don't really get it, but I do know it's a bit much for other people. So I do know that they're wowed by it. And I know people always want to they've never experienced it. They always want to see me do it. They're always like, how do you do this? There's so many questions. And to be honest, it's a really simple, it's really not that crazy. So
how often do people request genital or butthole tattoos?
Honestly, so when I'm full on traveling, I probably do a few a week. So I do a lot, actually. So usually every guest spot, I probably get at least one dick tattoo. That's probably the most popular. And then the butthole tattoo. That's probably it. Female genitals, I get two, but not as much. It's mostly the dick tattoos. So
do women get their assholes tattooed as well?
Absolutely. Men and women both. And to be perfectly honest, the people that are getting these tattoos, it's like you would be blown away. Like, if you would see the type of people, you're thinking, I think some people are like, what kind of clients are these? Are super weird. And I'm like, no, they're soccer moms. they're like the people who are running your PTA. It's like the lady at the checkout at the grocery store. It is people that you're really right now? Sometimes when I meet the clients, I'm like, what's up? I did not see this one coming. You know what I mean? You're thinking, I think anyways, that it would be people who are really heavily into the fetish community.
Yeah,
and there are those
thinking.
people too, but the majority are very, very just they
normal,
look very normal. And most of these people, to be honest, don't have any other tattoos.
But
a lot of them, this is their very first tattoo.
That's kind of mind blowing.
It's kind of super interesting to me.
Yeah.
I sort of love it. It's great. I'm like, good for you, man. Fucking go full force straight out the gate. Awesome.
So do a lot of straight men get their dicks tattooed, or is it more, because I'm assuming more gay guys would do that?
Absolutely. I would say the majority of the men that I do the dick tattoos for, they're definitely they're straight. Yeah, I do get like gay men, but for the majority, a lot of them are straight men.
Do you
So.
think it's one of those things where straight guys are like, I want my penis tattooed by a female tattoo artist because it's gay to have a guy touch their dick? Do you think? Do
Oh,
you think? Do you think it's like
I
a
definitely do
fragile
hear comments
masculinity
like
thing?
that all the time. I definitely hear like, like I was really comfortable coming to you because you're a woman, and I really didn't want like a man touching my dick like this. And to be honest, I'm not really touching their dick because I have gloves on. So I'm like, I'm really
Yeah.
not
Does it
like.
really
There's
matter?
no. Yeah, like it didn't matter if I was a woman or not. Like honestly, you're probably in pain. You're not looking at me anyways. So I could be a
Yeah.
man. It didn't really matter. Like, I don't know what
I
you're
guess whatever makes
thinking,
him
but
comfortable, I suppose.
it's absolutely, and that's actually like what I just bring everything down to is like comfortable. You know what I mean? Like I just try to make people comfortable. I try to make them laugh a lot. So I'm kind of like wicked funny. So
So, what is
so
the screening process? Like, do people?
Oh,
So, if someone
the
comes to
screening
you,
process is great because honestly, so okay, everybody always thinks that when they hit me up, they're hitting me up, but I have my
your
assistant, which
assistant,
is the
yeah,
praxis, right? Yeah. So you're actually like they straight out the gate always like send a dick pic, right? And the Brax's like, oh, here's another dick pic, and I'm
just
like,
right
okay,
off the bat,
Braxis.
like, I want this, my junk tattooed, and they send a dick pic.
Yes, they send it like
Okay.
straight out the gate. And Brian's like, "There's another dick in here," and I'm like, "Okay, Abraxas." And so it's funny because there was like, "Hey, Jade," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." It's like Abraxas. Thinking you just hit up a dude. so anyways, then so you have to do an over the phone consultation with me. It won't go any other direction. And during the consultation, I'm going to give you multiple things that my expectations, what you should expect. I'm going to give you tons of information. One thing that is key that I say, and that is like probably the most important thing of the whole process, is I say to you, can you get your dick hard in front of me?
Oh, so are
Because
they hard when they're
yes,
getting tattooed?
to put the stencil on, your
Oh,
dick has to be erect. If it isn't erect, what will happen is it will be like I've fixed a bunch before and they're like always like crooked
but the
and they're like
lines would be
oddly
crooked.
shaped. Yeah, because like imagine if you took like Play-Doh and you rolled it into like a cylinder and then you took it and you pulled it, it would have that like middle section that would probably be very like elongated and then the ends would still be fine. And that's literally what will happen with a dick. If you just pulled it, it's going to be misshapen. And so the only way to get that on properly and for it to sit perfectly and for it to look really good and solid erect is to put it on erect.
Well,
That's
they have a
it.
boner, yeah.
And so that is the only problem in the whole thing right there. Like
Do a
that.
lot of
That's it.
guys have an issue like maintaining an erection while you're putting a stencil
Oh
on?
man. Okay, so they don't have to have an erection to get it tattooed. They only have to have an erection to put the stencil on, which is literally like just a moment, right? I'm like, okay, put the stencil on, and then you can do whatever you want after that. Like it doesn't matter. I just for that moment to put that stencil on,
You got to be
that's
hard.
it. And so it has to be hard. And so it can be a problem
I
for
mean, are they like
sure.
going to the bathroom with like a penthouse or soming and on their phone,
Okay, it
Pornhub?
depends on the shop. So like I said, I always do guest spots in like different places.
Yeah.
And so pretty much like I always tell the client, listen, this is what this shop is like. This is what the floor plan is like. This is what's available. This is how we're going to do it. So every time I do a guest spot somewhere, there's always something different about it that I explain in advance. And I'll say, if you want to book, this is like what you're dealing with or what, but normally, okay, so if the floor plan is open,
Well, a
then
lot
we'll
of
go in a
tattoo
back
shops are.
room or
Yeah.
we'll go in a bathroom or something like for privacy. So
So you'll actually, do the tattoo in the back room for
No,
that?
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
just for the stencil?
We'll only put the stencil on. Yeah, that's it. And then we literally walk to my station and then we do the tattoo.
But
So
even
it
in an
just
open
depends.
environment.
Yes,
Yeah. So
you will be in
there's
an open
okay.
environment. I mean, usually we put up like screens
Yeah.
if it's like an open floor plan, we put up screens. If it's usually though, most shops have a room. Even if it's just a piercing room or something, most shops do. It's rare that a shop doesn't, so that's usually it. But if worst case scenario, we put the stencil on in a bathroom or a back room or an office room or whatever, and then we go to the station, but we always block it off. So some of the clients are wild and man, they want to be
They're
naked, they
super
want to
stoked.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, they're stoked, they're like, yeah, like woo, I get to be like out here, my dick's out, woo, you know, it's a party. I'm like, okay, calm it down. And then but a lot of clients are very modest, and so I go the lengths to try to just make sure that they're perfectly comfortable, it's a good situation. Otherwise, if they're not comfortable at all, either we don't do the tattoo or we do it after hours where there's no
Okay. Yeah.
clients there,
Yeah.
nobody's
That
there,
makes
it's just
sense.
me, so you're only dealing with me. So I try to be really, really good about listening to the client's wants, giving them the situation, giving them the information, and then taking it from there. But in Vegas, I work with at Clean's shop, and he has like private stations.
Station. So
So
it's
I just
yeah,
like tattoo
not
in the
really an
private
issue.
station.
So
Yeah, but like
when
I said,
so the erection is only during the stencil process, but when you're actually
that's it.
tattooing, I mean, I couldn't imagine having an erection at that point. 'Cause, I mean, the pain and just like I mean,
The
just
guys
psychologically, it'd be
always,
difficult.
oh, they always ask about that because I specifically say, I'm like, listen, you only have to be erect just to put that stencil on. And then after that, it doesn't matter. And then, but they, for some reason, I don't know why they don't hear that other part. They only hear the erection part. Like they literally get stuck on that. And then they're like, oh, well, do I have to like be hard the whole time? And I'm like, no, like you only have to be hard.
Just for the
No,
stencil.
just for the stencil, that's it. And so the other part doesn't really matter. Actually, if it was hard the whole time, it would be okay.
Would it be
That'd be
easier?
amazing.
Yeah,
That'd be
would it be
amazing. You should
easier?
be a porn star.
Yeah.
Good on you. You know, or but honestly, it would make it a zillion times harder if it was hard. If it was
Oh,
erect,
okay.
it would be very difficult to tattoo.
I
If it
heard,
was
a
erect.
friend of mine, as tattoo artist, has tattooed a few dicks. He was saying like you sometimes wrap your dick around like a surface or something. So
I
you know,
have like this thing that I do with my fingers, which is like a very specific like thing where I
like a
like
holding
put your dick in
technique,
between my hand and I roll it. So
so you
I
can
mean,
stretch the
I don't.
skin.
Yes, just stretch the skin. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just good with things like that, so I don't have an issue. But I've heard weird stories about dicks being wrapped around like odd
Yeah,
objects,
that's
like,
what I heard. He said
yeah,
I forget.
no, okay, that's silly. I don't like know. I don't even know
He
how
said it was
someone's
like a
mind went
sharpie that he
there.
kind of wrapped around and
Yeah, I hear all
do
kinds of shit.
it.
I hear tennis balls. I hear things with duct tape and tennis balls, and I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Does the design change though when the dick is flaccid though? I mean, it must look different. Like,
It
do
does.
people get designed
That's why it
specifically?
has to be. It has to be hard. Like when we put the stencil on, because when it goes flaccid, it's it's definitely so it's like a whole process, right? Like I explain it as we go, like the whole thing. Like I'm like, okay, like you're gonna get your dick hard. We're gonna put the stencil on. Then your dick is gonna want to go soft, obviously, which is totally fine.
Just yeah.
I am already holding it in place. I know that's going to happen. Like I'm ready. Like everything's set up and ready. So the moment that we put the stencil on, we're in go time. We're not even, there's no lapse in it. I'm going right into it and I'm holding it already. I'm ready to roll. So I'm already prepared for that moment. Like I know what's going to happen. I've done a zillion of
Yeah,
them.
you've done a
Like,
million. So,
yeah.
is it easier to tattoo a circumcised or uncircumcised dick?
You know, well, it doesn't really matter what it is, but okay, so I have done like full blackouts, right,
A
of
full
dicks and
blackout on
balls.
dick. Wow. And
Oh yeah,
balls too.
I've done them like 6 times. Balls, everything. They go all in. They're like, you know what? I want fucking my shit just blackened out.
Even
And
the
I'm like,
head of the
oh,
cock.
the head, everything.
Wow.
The head is its own fucking animal,
That's
dude.
got. I mean,
That's the
so many nerve
one.
endings. I couldn't even imagine.
I'm like, okay, like the whole time I'm like tattooing the shaft, the dudes are like cool. They're like talking to me. They're like, what? Yeah, Jaded Moon. Like that time I went surfing. And I'm like, cool, right? Me too. I'm into surfing too. Whatever, whatever. We're talking like normal people. I get even like near the head and the whole vibe changes.
I
At
couldn't
that
even imagine what
point,
that feels like.
yeah, at that point, every single dude, because they're sitting up, right, for all the rest of it, they lay back. They get like, I can just feel it. It's literally, and I like looked one time to see what like a dude's face was looking like. And it looked like a woman who was like in labor. And I was like, never again. So I don't even look up. I just look down and I just keep going because it's wicked scary. And I'm just like, it's
Well,
like too
yeah, I would be
much.
worried that someone would move, like sudden movements or
They don't.
something.
They
But
don't. They don't move. They're like being really good. The way I have them positioned and situated, there's no way they're gonna move. Like they're fine. Like they're not gonna move. They're not gonna do anything. But they're definitely, when it gets to the head, that's a whole
I could
different
imagine a whole
ballpark.
other,
Like
yeah,
the
a
whole
whole
nother ball
other
game. Like I'm
game.
like, good on you for wanting to get that. Like, and you sitting through it. Like that's amazing to me.
What
But
about
the
balls? Like,
ball, the
is it
ball's
is it
not so crazy. The ball,
not?
okay. I always thought that the balls. I remember the first one I did, met so long ago, but they were okay. All balls are so different. All dicks are so different.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
other difference.
genitals and
But there's like balls that are like the first ones I did were like super wrinkly and they had like 1,000 wrinkles in them, and it was like really complicated.
and veiny.
Then and they're what?
And there's veiny balls too, like the
Oh, they're
veins and the
veiny. They're
wrinkles.
like,
Yeah.
they're so different, right? Okay, I did have this one guy one time. This is kind of like, I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm tattooing at this shop and it's the middle of winter. And we do have a screen up, but we're right next to the front door. Now I'm tattooing his balls. Every time the door would open, his balls would like shrivel up, and I would like try to just like get them in place in my hands because I knew
Just hold
I
them.
could hear the door go ding, and then all of a sudden his balls would be like, whoop, and then the door would shut and it'd warm back up, and they would just like loosen up. I was like, this is fucking horrible. This is horrible. Like, move
It's
me
got to
away
be
from
difficult.
the fucking door, or don't let anybody come in and out because this
Yeah.
is too much for me. And
Get
it
a
was like a
space heater.
complicated. It was like a complicated design. It was like a geometrics. Like somebody's like, I want the most complicated thing I could get, and I want you to tattoo me next to this door where my balls are gonna like shrink and like all this.
Yeah, and like
time.
fluctuate in size.
And I was
It's
like,
gotta
oh
be.
my god, just shoot me now.
So what about like female tattoos, like labia tattoos? Do women
Sure.
get their labia tattooed, or is it like above their vagina?
Okay, so women, just like you can imagine any man wanting to get their like genitals tattooed, females same. They're gonna get things labia, outer, like all around. I've definitely done some elaborate things. I am going to say with 100% certainty that the female genitals are far worse, I think,
Oh, wait,
than
harder
even the
than
male.
more
Than the
difficult to
male head.
tattoo than dicks?
They're so difficult. It's so hard because the anatomy is difficult. The skin is very soft. It's very like fragile.
Does it hold
Yeah,
the ink?
it holds the ink. It does, but it's like so delicate. You just have to be really careful. It's such a different ball game altogether. But it stays well. There's no problems with healing or
What
anything like
position
that.
are they in? There's legs open and you're just kind of on the side.
Yeah. So okay, so male genitals, they're just sitting on the table, legs over. Buttholes, everybody's like face down. Their
Like
ass is in
ass
the
up,
air,
face down.
ass up. and then the females, they're basically just laying back in like a butterfly position, where they just
Just
sort
legs
of
spread open.
like, yeah.
Who
So
takes the pain better? Like who sits better? A man or a woman
um
typically?
the men on the shaft do really good. The men on a head do
I,
horrible. I mean,
I
obviously,
couldn't even imagine. Yeah.
buttholes, everybody does the same. I wouldn't say that a male or female does better. The female genitals, so I have my genitals tattooed, and it was fucking horrible. Like horrible. Like I was like, is this real? Like I started rethinking my life and like my choices, and I was like, am I like, how did I get to this point? And like what, like what made me think
It's
to
that
get
intense,
this?
the pain.
Oh my god,
I mean,
okay, and like to be honest, like the person who tattooed me, I had 3 sittings that's kind of like my stomach and then it goes down. And okay, and so it's like, we became friends, me and the person who did the tattoo.
well, it's intimate.
And I just remember like the last sitting, and I don't know what happened, because I don't let this get out there. I know this is a podcast, maybe we delete this part, but okay, just kidding. But it's like, okay, like I really like all of a sudden, I don't even know how that, like where this came from or whatever. I just started bawling. Like I wasn't like bawling too, like a very like mournful, like it was just like, like I was like literally just pouring like tears. It's like,
Was it when you're getting your labia or your asshole? Like when did the tears start?
The labia is where it starts. It's its own whole, like it's like amazing. You're like, I don't understand. Like I don't know.
Like a pleasure pain kind of thing.
It just hurts. It just hurts
so hurts.
much. And it's like every other tattoo I feel like is manageable. You're like, I can manage this. Okay, that is not. Like that's not. Like you're just like, okay, like these, and okay, so then the rest of the tattoo I was like going like I'd been crying for like 5 hours.
I mean, the majority of my body's tattooed, and I get most of mine's like really thick black work. And I feel like when I'm getting it done, it's just I go to, I just don't think about the pain, and it's fine.
Absolutely.
But
no
could
problem.
you not do that when you're when your genitals are tattooed? It's like you can't, but not think about it. God.
No, because I'm normally super good. Like people who tattoo me are like, "Whoa, Jade, you're so good." Like you just lay there, like you're not even really getting tattooed.
You just don't think about it. That's kind of how
you
I
don't. Like you kind of put it out of your mind, and you listen to like fucking like black metal, and you're like good to go. Okay, no, that is like there's no black metal in the world that's gonna make that
distract
go away.
You. Yeah.
No, nothing.
Wow,
nothing.
God.
It's
So,
like,
all right, what about your asshole? Like, tell me about the process to tattoo an asshole.
Sure. The asshole tattoo. It's like one of the ones. Actually, people ask me the most questions about it, but honestly, it doesn't have that many interesting things about it. So the asshole tattoo, also the same, a process, in which, I explain a few things with people about, but it's okay. Every asshole's different. So sometimes people's designs, their expectations are not suitable for their body. You know what I mean?
It won't fit like their actual
it won't
asshole.
Fit properly. Some people are really wide. Some people are very curved. Some people, it just sometimes won't work. Yeah. Sometimes fucking people have gaping buttholes. I mean, and then they want some design. I'm like, that's not going to work out. Like that thing is gaped. Like we got to go bigger, So,
do they?
So to be.
Do they get the actual like asshole? Like, is the tattoo on the asshole or around the asshole?
Okay, so it depends on the design, right? It depends on what somebody's wanting. Sometimes people want to go in a little more. Now there's a point where like I can't really get in there. I mean, if somebody was like gaping, obviously you can see it, it's presentable. There's a level of being able to, okay, but then there's also like people who are going to be fine when they're elderly and they're going to be holding their bowels properly. Those people it's because it's so tight. You know what I mean? That I can't get in there. You know what I mean? So it just depends. Most people don't want all the way up to their actual asshole. They want like slightly around, something kind of attractive. A lot of people get lettering or like, a design of some sort, but
like a
for the most
butterfly
part,
or something. Like what kind of like what
I
kind of
do
design?
everything. Okay, like people ask that question a lot too, and literally anything that you can think of that somebody would get like on their body somewhere, you could get it on your asshole. Like you could. Like okay, so like this girl, there's one on my I just put it on my website. But this girl, she wanted like a cat skull, and then I decided to put like the nose as her butthole, which is so adorable. And then she's
So
got
cute.
like a satanic symbol, and I'm like loving it, you know what I mean? And so it just depends, you know what I mean? I mean, so you can literally put anything there. I have someone who's flying to me to get one done, and it's just a really it's more of like black work, so I've done all kinds of things, designs, I've done fucking tribal, I've done like everything you can imagine. I put it on an asshole. So yeah.
So it's got to be. Well, tell me about the aftercare. I mean, it's got to be painful. How do you shit?
Okay, one thing about these body parts that is actually really amazing is they honestly heal super fast.
Oh, like the
Okay.
skin
Like
and the genitals.
I don't know what's happening with you in your life, but just imagine like, okay, sometimes like if you, okay, let's just pretend like you were doing a lot of anal or something, right? Like, okay, like for myself or whatever, then usually one day maybe it's like a little bit like whatever, well then the next day it's fine and you're like, wow, that
It's a very
healed so quickly.
resilient body part.
It's very resilient, honestly, and honestly they heal super fucking quick. I think the butthole is literally the fastest healing tattoo there is.
I'm surprised to hear
it's
that.
amazing. I mean, I think it's because of the type of skin, it's so different. It needs to be resilient. I mean, you're going to the bathroom all the time, and
I mean,
sometimes
stretching and
you got to be stretching sometimes. I mean, whatever you're eating, I don't know what your diet is like, but
a lot of Taco Bell.
We're gonna have to talk after this. Anyways,
do you tell people not to eat before they come in? Like you have to like prepare your body.
Yeah, before they come in, I give them, okay, like I'm not your mom, but I give you suggestions. I say, hey, you know what, you should be eating like X, Y, and Z. You should. It would be good if you were like, doing some proteins and like light proteins and like maybe or something like that, whatever you're eating. I don't know your diet, so maybe some salads, maybe some smoothies, like things that are pretty light, yourself, nothing too crazy. And then afterwards I'm like, okay, also just stay in that same range of just keeping something that's kind of light so that you're, you know what I mean? Not like you didn't eat a fucking like a huge steak or something, or you know what I mean? Or eat
that's
something
not going to feel good coming
greasy out, or something that's going to like not come out well. Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about diet before they come, a lot of talk about hydration, a lot of talk about like just all the things, of health things and stuff like that. But to be honest, like I said, it heals so quickly. And I Sanoderm it. So I'm sponsored by Sanoderm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think literally they only sponsor me because I'm like, I tattoo buttholes and I put Sanoderm on it.
How does it stay on it? The Sanoderm.
Okay. So what I do is I cut it into strips like a square. And I put it like so where the butthole is still there. Yeah, it's just like a square around the butthole.
And so they keep that on for a couple of days and then it's fine?
They keep it on. So like I said, it heals pretty fast. If they could manage to keep it on for 4 days, they're doing rockin' awesome. But honestly, I feel like the clients probably take it off in like 3 days. I don't know. I honestly, for all the genital tattoos and the buttholes, you get tons of calls from me afterwards just to make sure, like, I'm like, oh, how are you feeling? Like, how's everything going? Like, blah, 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 blah. And usually they're like, they tell me what's happening, and they usually tell me about the Sanoderm, if it's staying on or how it's going or whatever. Usually it's fine. I'm never really have anyone have an issue.
You had anyone ever get infected from it?
Never.
No?
Mm-mm.
Wow, that's
never.
some solid
I
aftercare
think
there.
that people, okay, so this is the thing about these clients. You have to remember this, okay? It's not a typical tattoo, okay? These people have probably, now, when I talk to these people, they're usually like, I've been looking for someone for like 9 years who will do this. I've been looking for someone for 6 years. I've been looking for somebody this long, whatever. And they're like, I've gone into shops and they've like made me feel embarrassed that I even asked, or made fun of me,
something. Yeah.
or shocked, or like whatever. And so these people are literally stoked, right, to like get tattooed by me. Like, it's been a long process. They want to get it done. And these people and whoever it is they're talking to have either made it seem like it's such a novelty that maybe I'll do it for you, but I'm not that into it. And obviously you don't want to get a tattoo from someone who's not that into it.
Yeah, if you're not passionate about it.
Yeah, no. Like, honestly, like, I'm stoked to do it for you. Like, I think it adorns your body beautifully. I think that it's very complimenting, and I think it's a process, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I'm super supportive the whole way. You get tons of information. You're getting tons of aftercare, me contacting you. I'm going back and forth about design possibilities a lot. I think even more so than most of the tattoos I do. And so, these people are so excited. And so when they come and they get this tattoo, for one, they sit fucking amazing. Like, they don't give me any problems. Like, they're absolutely, whatever I tell them to do, they do it, and they do it. And they're like, they don't complain and any of it.
They actually follow your instructions. Yeah.
They follow the instructions. And then in the end, they know that it's definitely an odd body part. So they're going to go the mile to do the aftercare. Like, they're going to take care of it, because for one, they probably don't want to do it again.
Yeah. you don't want to get that hit again.
I don't want to see Jaded Moon again. She was nice, but she wasn't that fucking nice, And then two, they're so excited that they finally got this thing that they really wanted. And so now they're like, oh, I'm going to do good. I'm going to take care of it.
Take care of it so it looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people who get regular tattoos from me, no one's getting regular ones, but like whatever, like not genitals or whatever, those people tend to fuck up way more. Like, those people are like, whatever, fucking went surfing the next day, and I'm like, calm down, okay. But these people don't. They go the mile to do well and to take care of it. And like, especially, like I said, most of them are flying from some other place.
God, that's got to be rough, flying back to South Africa after getting your asshole tattooed. Couldn't even imagine.
I'm like, I don't even know.
How long do you have to wait till you can have sex again?
So,
couple weeks?
Okay, with the Sanoderm, I like to tell my clients if the Sanoderm will stay on, I would prefer that they wait 2 weeks. A lot of times I like hit them up, and I'm like, I have to be like, hey, remember, you're not supposed to be having sex. Don't want to like kill your vibe out there, but just reminder, and don't be roughing that thing up too much either. So yeah, like, I'm constantly sending them reminders, but about 2 weeks, that's what I hope happens. I don't know.
Especially with, that area, if the skin heals so fast, you probably could.
It heals really fast.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think that before it's ready, some of them are like, yeah. So they're just stoked that they have it. They want to show everybody.
So I guess off the top of your head, what's one of the more provocative genital tattoos or memorable genital tattoos that stands out in your mind? Like, I remember giving that one. Or are they all unique and you just kind of...
Yeah, they're all so different. I think that the experiences are all different with each person. I mean, I did this one, okay, because, I get asked these same questions a lot. And there is this one that I was like, okay, so I go to Germany, right? I love Germany. I've thought about moving there many times.
Berlin's fucking awesome.
sex positive, like so many sex clubs, so many things that I love, you know. So I've thought about moving there a lot, and I probably will eventually. But so a lot of my clients there, which I love when I go there, is that I'm doing a ton of butthole tattoos, like a bunch. Well, I don't speak German, so there's that. So there's always this like level of like
barrier
communication
there.
that's like awkward and odd, and at some point I just need to learn the key phrases, you know, because I feel like that would be important. But anyways, so I tattooed okay, so it's really funny because this is like a guy from Tinder, okay? So it was a guy from Tinder who like we matched or whatever. And I really, okay, so what I match with people for, I actually like never go out with people from Tinder, but I Tinder for gyms. Like I'm like, oh, it looks like you go to the gym. Can you get me a gym pass? Right? That's like what I'm Tindering for, is so I can go to the gym.
That's kind of hilarious. Yeah.
Yo, hook me up with a gym pass, yo. So I'm like, yeah, we'll hang out at the gym. I don't. I literally just get in and go do.
Get me in there for free. Yeah,
like,
why not?
Cardio. Anyways, so I matched this guy super buff. So I was like, yo, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, can you give me a gym pass? He's like, no, but he was like, you're Jaded Moon. And I was like, yeah, on my good days. Yeah. and so he's like, yo, he's like, well, I always really wanted to get my butthole tattooed. And I was like, oh, okay, well, and I had like one opening, and it was on a day when the shop was closed, which was perfect. And so he said, listen, you know, he was like, listen, he was like, look, I'm going to bring somebody with me. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I don't care. You know what I mean? So he comes with a woman who is his mistress, right? Or like his dominatrix.
His lover. Oh, his dominatrix. All right.
Yes, his dominatrix. So, and so anyways, okay, she has to approve the tattoo. Like it's his tattoo, but she has to approve it. And then it's her name. And so it says property of, and then her name.
Around his asshole.
Around his asshole. And I'm like, and I was like,
it's an odd dynamic.
This guy,
but all right.
We met on Tinder. Okay. I was like so confused. I was like, wait, we met on Tinder. I was like, I'm not getting this. Like, were you looking for another Dom in case your Dom gets ill? You know what I mean? Like you need like a step-in dominatrix to like come over and like do I didn't
like,
get
what's
it.
going on here?
I was like so confused by it. So anyways, it was whatever. Okay. So she stood with me. Like I stand up when I'm going to do the tattoo, you know, I'm standing. She stood like with me and I was like, what? I don't give a fuck. You know, do you.
Whatever.
Okay. So she's standing next to me and I'm like doing the tattoo or whatever. And then like the tattoo ends and then she's like, okay, now you're going to whip him. And I was like, oh, yo. So she literally pulls out this like bag. It looked like Mary Poppins, you know, like she had the big bag.
Like a little black bag.
But this one was made out of leather instead of like a rug or a carpet or whatever. So she just like opens it and she's like, choose your thing. She's like pulling out all these things. Like I was like, where's the end of that? Like I was like, how many things you have in this fucking bag, lady? So I'm just like, and I'm like,
did you do it?
I don't know. Like this is so awkward. You know, obviously I've like flogged a bunch of people in my life. You know, I don't know what you're doing, but that's what I'm doing in my free time. And anyways,
but after an asshole tattoo, I mean, it's kind of a weird time to do that.
Yeah, I was like, this is awkward right now. Like I was like, I don't even know. And then they were like, we're paying you for this service. I was like, what? I said, you're paying me a tattoo. And I was like, listen, this is so
it's a little above and beyond, all right. But
I was like, I better get a good fucking tip out of this. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, that is fucking
like,
hilarious.
I don't know what people expect from me, but I'm like, whatever, you know.
Well, you've definitely developed a reputation. World's premier penis tattoo artist. So
it's premier.
That's a distinction. Well, Jaded Moon, thanks for being on the show. It's been hilarious chatting with you. Where can people find out more about your art and the tattoos that you do? Like your website?
Well, since I'm so notorious for losing my Instagrams, we're not even gonna like plug that because we know by tomorrow that will probably be gone. But anyways, if you want to, I mean, I should probably be better about updating my website and putting more of the tattoos, like the genital ones, on there. But you can go to www.jadedmoontattoo.com And that pretty much will link you to anything. It'll link you to my OnlyFans. It will link you to my everything, my merch, like all of it will be there. So, and
Cool.
it'll link you to my Instagram if you want to even bother following me.
You have a Twitter too, I saw, at Jaded Moon Tattoo.
I do have a Twitter. Okay, I kind of suck at Twitter. I don't know if I'm just not good at it. I have no idea.
Social media just sucks in general. So
it does.
Well, it's been great having you on the show. Thanks for chatting with us.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, take it easy.
Okay, bye.